Hey guys, so in that previous clip, or one of the previous clips, you saw me kill tier 3 Zesht in about 7 seconds. This build has really insane single target, with some clunky setup that we'll go over. Its mapping is okay. I kind of just had a vision and I wanted to make that vision work of just like superhero entrancing on people. Mario stomping on their heads. So we've kind of bent over backwards to try to make that work. I want to showcase that here, or at least explain how it's working. Um, this build can do a lot of DPS. It's something like 7 million DPS or more if you're getting lucky. But yeah, so the mean of our damage comes from crit stacking and int stacking. Crit stacking with Tangle Tongue, and our int is getting turned into damage, lightning damage, through Hands of Wisdom of Action, and our Anointment Pure Power. Pure Power gives us percent lightning damage per our intellect. So we kind of have a lot of intellect. One thing to note here is our defenses are pretty poor. Um, this gear that I have, obviously I can shuffle around some sockets and stuff to get my resistances where I want them, or I could swap out my Moria Invictus to one that's good. I didn't want to invest a whole lot of money into this. This is also used for a different build. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there. Um, the our mapping, our main source of damage is Thunderous Leap, combined with Trample Toe to just help extend that radius and make our AoE feel like a little bit more crunchier. It's also our main source of mobility because, I mean, we have 15% movement speed, it's just faster, just leap around the map, you know. As a side note, I don't think this is necessary, but I do have a lot of spirit on my scepter just so I can run blasphemy and have conductivity to lower enemies' lightning resists just at all times during mapping. Um, I've also tested out, I don't think all this gear is necessary. I've tested out Soldier Great Helm, and that's just fine. The only problem with this one is I lose a significant amount of HP. It's like 300 HP or something. So yeah, I don't know. But the AoE on it is nice. You know, you can get AoE on your gems. In fact, I do kind of go all out AoE when I am mapping. There's some points here I have in my weapon set too for mapping that I swap between bossing. This is just AoE. To stay alive, I have life on kill in my scepter as well. So we got cannibalism here. We got some nodes here, which aren't necessary, but they certainly help. And, you know, I don't think really trample toe is even necessary, but it helps. Just for the, like I mentioned earlier, the crunchy AoE. For single target, it gets a little more complicated. Our main source of damage is Primal Strikes, which, for those of you who don't know, it does more damage if it's hitting a shocked enemy. It like makes Wildwood Spirits if it hits a shocked enemy. And on the final strike, right here, it consumes the shock on hit. So if you're hitting a boss and your gear's not good enough to just do one pass of Primal Strikes, which uh, it does a lot of damage. Like most map bosses just die in one hit, if not if they, rarely will they live the 3 rotation. But if they do live, you have Thunderous Leap, creating shocking ground underneath them, which reshocks them, which means you can consume that shock again. It's kind of like the loop that we're going for there. If you don't crit, you just leap again, and when you leap again, you'll apply a shock. You can put pinpoint critical into Thunderous Leap. You can see I'm pretty high crit chance. But if you put pinpoint critical in there, it'll be 100% crit chance. For bossing, I do use weapon set 2, which is my crit build, so I actually am pretty darn high, and I don't put that in there. I suppose I could. Whereas Innervate's not necessary for bossing. Um, but let's just go over the bossing rotation here. It's kind of convoluted. So what I do is put down Orb of Storms to just get rage going. My gems aren't set up perfectly right now, but put down Orbit Storms to get rage going. I put down Ice Walls and stab them with my Spear Strike, which has rage in it, which also gives me more rage. I put down Conductivity right before the boss spawns. Put down more Ice Walls. Jump on the boss to apply that Shock Ground plus Lightning Exposure. And then I just go into Primal Strikes. Um, there is one thing just to note here. I do not have Martial Temple in my Primal Strikes. You don't really want attack speed because the Shock Ground kind of has an ICD where you consume the shock, and if you're attacking too fast, your attacks aren't going to be affected by that shock and making those Wildwood Spirits. So POB might say, or Path of Building might say, like, Martial Tempo is insane, you should slot it. There's a lot of DPS, but realistically, if you're relying on the shock ground to apply the shock, uh, it's not a DPS increase. One thing that I think might be a bug as well is I'm kind of abusing Trinity. It says does 14% more elemental damage with attacks per 50 residents of any type. You get resonance by casting different or attacking with different elemental types. The reason why I think it's a bug is because it specifically says attacks, and I can get full ice resonance with Ice Wall or Frost Wall, and it's a spell. So it says attacks, but I can get it with a spell. So I don't know what that's about. Um, just quickly go over the passive tree for my bossing setup. I mean, this, like, in general, is just kind of lightning, spear, cookie cutter, taking all the crit stuff, all the crit stuff, all the crit stuff. Um, lightning pen, lightning damage, some flat damage, some of the best spear nodes here, and then the stat stacking nodes. For my ascendancy, I am a gemling. You can do this with basically any other ascendancy. I tried a ritualist and that worked just fine. In fact, I had way more int. Um, but it's easier to get crit with gemling because of this right here. 20% increased crit chance per socketed blue support gem. And actually it sims more DPS, but Ritualist was really close when I tried it and simmed it. I don't think you necessarily need a lucky node, but because of the range of its primal strikes, because of all the lightning damage, all the int stacking, 1 to 10 damage per 20 int, you're gonna get a huge range of damage. 3,000 to 33,000. That's scaled off of all the modifiers we're doing. So that lucky actually kind of comes out huge. But you might not need that. You could probably free up some nodes by not going these two, those 5. Um, rest are pretty mandatory. Uh, let's go over the gear. Some of the things they might be able to change. You could probably get a better helmet for more defenses. Get different stats on Moriar and Victus. Um, again, yeah, change out the boots potentially. The rings, some of the stats to go for are flat lightning damage and int. Those are going to be your 2 highest, like, attributors to this build. And after that, just get resistances and max life for defenses. I mean, any other damage is nice, but I think that's pretty much it. Oh, one interesting interaction that I might as well just note real quick, because I did test it out and it was more damage, but it also just is like so clunky. And I was like, I'm limited on my breach my breach stones to try the Uber boss, so I didn't try it a whole lot, and plus the defenses are so bad that, like, on my way to T4 Zesh I died and I didn't have the income to just keep trying that, so that's why I did a T3. But it's a proof of concept here. But the Thunderous Leap has detonator tag, so when you throw a Storm Lance into the ground, you can detonate it with Thunderous Leap. So, like, before the boss comes out, you can, like, do more shenanigans with that and then detonate it and, just do way more damage. But it's just so clunky, and the boss isn't going to wait for you to do all that setup, you know. But it's kind of where I'm at. I just want to get this out in front of people, showcase the build a little bit, If you have ideas, let me know. And thanks for sticking around. Hope you have a great day.